And we're back. But first, a sip of chai.
Indeed.
What's up, Nick?
Good morning. How's it going, man?
It's going, man. It's been, like I told you earlier today, I was up to about 4 a.m. with some pretty cool stuff, getting some pretty cool stuff done and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, a little tired.
I'm totally wired. I've had 6 chais this morning because I didn't sleep at all. So I'm
worried about your heart?
wired.
Yeah, maybe.
Sure, I mean, I can show you like all the cups that are sitting here.
Does chai have like more caffeine than a normal cup of coffee, or is it around the same?
I don't know. I think it depends on how you measure it, right?
I guess.
But I would say it's fine for me. It works for me. So I don't see, like, I do have coffee sometimes, and I don't see a material difference.
Okay. I do like chai. I do like chai. Like if I'm feeling really risky, I'll get like one of those dirty chais with like a shred of espresso in it.
Yeah.
Super
So
good.
I've tried those, but I don't like them. And in fact, it makes me like queasy because I don't know the hybrid taste of it.
Makes sense. It is a little bit different because like a chai is a little bit sweet, and then like the bitterness of coffee kind of. Yeah, I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna hook you up with the chai mix. It's called Girnar, Girnar, and it's a micro powder. So it's super simple. You put a tablespoon of it in your cup, add hot water, and you are set. That's it.
Yeah, I just actually got some of the adaptogens, like some of the mushroom stuff that you can put in your coffee to like
mushrooms in coffee.
Yeah, it's like lion's mane, and it's like all stuff that's really good for like like calm and focus and stuff like that. I'm on like that neurotropics kick.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's get this show on the road. People waiting on this, so let's not dilly dally anymore.
For sure, I'll be back in a little bit.
All right, so I will share my screen, and we'll get going. All right, everybody. Welcome to season 1, episode 12. It is December 1, 2023, and you are watching the Vitruveo weekly download. I'm Nick Kalyani, the project lead, and Zach has decided to take off my screen and share his. I don't know why, but we'll find out in a moment. There we go. We're back on my screen. Thank you, Zach. All right. So, honestly, I have not had a chance to work on today's presentation as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to be kind of ad-libbing it a little bit, but the content is all there. They've got a lot of stuff going on. And with so many moving parts, my guess is that at some point I'm going to miss a few updates and things like that. But that's what we have updates in the Discord for. And we are constantly making improvements to those. So your feedback is always welcome. All right, so let's get going. I think the most interesting thing we have going on right now is that we have the artists open call going on. So the Genesis artists open call, and I'm very pleased to report that the artists are responding in force. We have crossed a great threshold yesterday of 500 artists. So let's go look at that. Yeah. So I'm looking at the artworks, and our requirement is that all these artworks be new and unminted anywhere. So artists actually working on creating brand new. So thank you very much for that. And there are some great artworks in here. And the basic process is that artists submit the work, and then Fur and her team of expert curators review and basically onboard the artists. So our goal is to get up to 2,500 artists, and these will be the folks who will go through the beta of Vitru Studio, which I'm going to be talking about today. So Vitru Studio is essentially our onboarding application, which manifests all the cool, innovative, standards-based stuff that we've been talking about all this time. And Fur is reporting that it's 525. This is excellent. So some really cool artworks going on there, and you can tell that people are putting in a lot of time and effort. It is the Genesis work, so they want it to be really good quality, and we are seeing that. We are seeing that in the results. And one of the things I have been doing with Fur is nightly, well, more or less every other night or so, we've been going on live stream and reviewing some of these artworks, which I can tell you from having spoken to a lot of artists that actually artists love that, because they rarely get good feedback about their work, because in general everyone will say like, oh, that's great, but to have someone actually spend time on your work and critique, composition, light, shadow, lines, this, that, all of those artistic elements is a very useful exercise for them. And so we try and do that regularly. All right, so that is an update on from the Creator Council on the Genesis artists. Our deadline is December 7th, and knowing artists, probably on December 6th, or more likely on December 7th, an hour before, is when we're going to see a lot of entries. I've seen that with pretty much every exhibition or every open call I do. It's like the last moment, and then immediately, predict this 100%, comes the flood of DMs. Like, oh, I was off by this much. I was late. Can you please accept my entry, etc.? And so we know that's coming. So anyway, so then what we'll be doing is essentially getting the artists started with their Know Your Creator, KYC process. And then by then, the team that's working on Studio will have that product done, which I'm going to talk about in a little more detail here today. And then we start the sales. So this is going to be very, very exciting. Oh, we do have a party plan. So December 23rd, mark your calendar. There is a metaverse celebration with the artists. So please keep that open. All right, moving on. Financial update. So I have no spending on here right now because we haven't yet done the spending for the past 2 weeks. I will get that out to the Senate here this weekend. A couple days behind. We are running behind on just about everything. There are so many moving parts right now. If you're not in the mix of things, if you're not in the thick of things, it feels like, like why can't they do X or whatever? But when you have so many moving parts at the same time and trying to get so many things to kind of come to a head at once, it is really difficult to do everything on time. So this will get done this weekend, and we'll get the update out to the Senate, and they'll review it and all of that kind of stuff. All right. So let me give you a development update. So these are all the apps we are working on. Any one of these is sort of a production unto itself. In particular, some of the larger ones here, the more meaningful ones, they're a significant engineering effort, because it's not just throwing together a Web 2 app with a database, right? There's smart contracts involved. There is a front-end UI involved, and then there's a front-end application that has to be built from it. And some of these also have an API that go along with it. So it's just a fair bit of work. So I see a comment here before we go along. I'm going to kind of address these along the way. So Crypto Geek, here, let's talk about this here. Says KYC process is going to cut the total to 5. I respectfully disagree with that, because of the fact that you have to understand what KYC means in this context. There are multiple levels of KYC. The most basic one being email, and then you go up from there. And it is the artist's option to opt in to whatever KYC level they want. We predict that in order to bring trust to the platform, which is entirely missing in the other protocols, marketplaces are going to set up thresholds and say that if you want to sell at a price above a certain level, say $10,000 or $100,000, you need to be at a KYC level 5 or something like that. And that demand is essentially going to drive and be the incentive for artists to want to do the KYC. So this is all about marketing, and sales. Like, if you want sales, then you need to be kind of be willing to go through that. And these are not very complicated things or whatever. And you can still maintain your anonymity, because none of that information comes to the blockchain. It's simply, what level are you authenticated for? We get a signed message to that effect. So that's that. I just want to point out that in this process here, there are 2 additional artworks that are being created right now, and that is for the sneakers. So those 2 artists are working, and we will reveal that when they are complete. and then they go into production for the sneakers. So those two artists are coming up. And as I'd mentioned previously, what's going to happen is for those of you who won the sneakers, you're going to get eventually codes that will take you to the when you go to the Diverge Sneakers website. There's going to be a landing page just for Vitruveo for you to claim your sneakers, and you can put in your gift code in there and claim your sneakers of the two different art styles. All right, I kind of took a slight tangent, so I'm going to go right back to where we were. All right, so the first thing I want to do is update you on the Vitru Studio development. So we have a team in Brazil that is focused on working on this. So this is our flagship product. This is the most important product that exists after the protocol, and it is how artists will onboard. Now, if you are an artist and have worked with other protocols, you know that there are multiple marketplaces, and every marketplace has their own user experience. Vitruveo is different. We don't have artists mint their work. This is something that we are completely tossed out the window. Artists instead consign their artwork to the protocol. So Vitru Studio is integrated very tightly with the Vitruveo blockchain protocol. And as an artist, what you do is you consign, which, a simpler term would be essentially upload, but with more information along with it to the protocol. So there are four main pillars, if you will, of Vitru Studio. The first is the creator sign up. So we have partnered with Synapse, who will do the Know Your Creator on that. And we have essentially committed to the world that Vitruveo protocol is about trust and about standards. So every one of these four pillars has a standard associated with it. So for the sign up, once the creator signs up and we have the identity, we are going to have it conform to a W3C verifiable credentials standard. This is essentially a standard that's very popular. It has the ability for a creator to have different claims. Like, for example, the claim is that they are from a certain country and it's verified by through the KYC process, or different things like that. Now, the cool thing about verifiable credentials is that they are portable. So at some point, we would like for the creator sign up, the ID that we get, which we are calling True ID, that's TRUID, the True ID to be sort of like a single sign-on for artists on various different projects on Vitruveo and other places. So super excited about that. The next thing is asset upload and sign. Now, on every other marketplace right now, guess what happens? You upload a file. That's it. That's it. On our platform, you will have the ability to upload as many as 12 files associated with your one asset. So what are those? Well, what we have is for you to be able to upload content so it conforms to landscape, horizontal displays, vertical portrait displays, and square displays. So we feel that the artist is the best person to decide if their art should even be displayed on a device for which it isn't oriented for. And if it is, how should it be cropped? We don't want to automate that. Even with AI and all that, it's never perfect. So we let the artist decide, hey, I never want my artwork to be displayed on a landscape device because it's a portrait aspect ratio thing. And that's fine. We'll take that. In addition, we allow them to upload medium resolution. There's no low res going on here. It's always a decent resolution, and high res for print, etc., where you need extremely high resolution so that the quality looks really good. So the artist can upload all those assets, and here's the kicker: they sign them. They cryptographically sign them using a content authenticity standard. So we are conforming to this initiative called the Content Authenticity Initiative. So it is created by most of the major companies that you know of that are in the space. So there's Adobe, AP, BBC, Microsoft, etc. So all of these companies have come together to create this standard. And so we'll be adhering to that standard for the assigning the assets. The next thing is discoverability. This is a huge problem on current marketplaces. If you go to, let's say, OpenSea or Foundation, and you type in a few keywords, I guarantee you're going to get a bunch of usernames first, because most of the keywords are taken up by that. And then you may or may not find the artwork you have. Well, we have extremely granular and faceted search, and that's possible because we have metadata that conforms to an international standard used by the top museums in the world. It's called linked art. So that's an important thing. We're going to support faceted search, which may sound like tech jargon, but you use it practically all the time. Whenever you go to Amazon or you go to book a hotel or something like that, you see that panel on the left-hand side that has a bunch of check boxes and sliders that make you narrow down your search. So it's not just keywords, it's very discrete, right? So we're going to have that for artwork. So you'll be able to search by by country, or by the type of color palette that's used, or the type of artwork, the style that's used, the technique that's used, all of those. So you can do very granular searches, and that's going to be super important for us, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to create things like streams, etc., and we want this to be very specific. So if someone wants in their living room a stream of just black and white landscapes of hills or something like that, and with daylight or sunshine or whatever, then you want that. It also allows us to do automation in the future, because we can program those streams to be temporal. In other words, when it's morning, you might see artwork related to the daytime, and when it's nighttime, you see artwork related to nighttime. So those are all kinds of innovations we want to do in home displays, so streaming. So linked art is super important in that regard. And last but not the least is licensing. This is completely, totally non-existent on other blockchains right now. Nothing. If the artist feels like it, they might paste in some text that tells them, like the buyer, what license it is. It is completely unclear how someone is supposed to, use your work, what rights you have, etc. But for us, artists will create one or more licenses, each one conforming to a standard, and that standard is Creative Commons. It's a well-known standard that is well established. YouTube uses the same standard, and we are going to use the same standard. So at the end of the day, one of the things that is going to sell artists on this platform is our ability to generate trust for buyers and for sellers both, and to have conformance to standards, which elevates their art beyond this media narrative, which is very disparaging. It is, oh, these NFTs are just JPEGs, which they are not. They are artworks, but because they are not conformant to any standards, it's easy enough for media to convey that and push that narrative. And we are going to change that completely. We are going to elevate digital collectible art to the same standard as art in traditional art in museums. All right. So next up, I want to talk about the progress in our app that I know everyone is waiting for, and I know we are late on that, but there's a good reason for that, and I want to share with you what that is. All right. So the Swapper dApp is ready to go. One of the things we wanted to do on this dApp is, I've used the term before, and you'll hear me use it again and again: eat your own dog food. Eat your own dog food is a term every software developer knows. It means use what you've built. So we want to have this dApp running on the Vitruveo blockchain and not use some database or something else like that. And so that's what we've come. Now, the challenge for us here is that we want the dApp to be used in a decentralized manner, but we don't have the ability for people to pay gas right now. So how do we deal with that? Well, we've come up with an innovative mechanism where when you choose the action within the dapper, like to transfer, etc., what we do is we query your wallet, and on the fly, we deposit the exact amount of gas you need for the transaction into your wallet. Now, there's another way we could do it too, which is we could have you sign the transaction and send it to the server side. But we really, really want to create a completely 100% decentralized app that doesn't rely on any server. So we've implemented this auto funding mechanism, which if the model works, and it will, because we've tested it and it works, we hope that other people will sort of also replicate. It is an interesting way to essentially allow people with zero Vitru in their wallet to be able to complete a transaction on the fly. Now, obviously, there's checks and balances to prevent abuse and things like that. That's a given, and it's fairly straightforward and easy to do, but we are committed to doing that. Now, that's the swap part, and the swap part is designed for one and one thing alone, to have you take your wallet that currently exists. If you want to move that whole wallet to another wallet, that's one use case. So, for example, you might have multiple wallets and you're trying to merge them. That's another thing. That's one thing. Another use case is you have a wallet, but it's been hacked and you want to move it to a brand new wallet. So this swapper will allow that. Now, there is one additional piece of functionality, and that is the OTC sales, where someone is willing to sell their bag and willing to take offers from the community to do it. We determined that the engineering time to do this in a dApp would be greater than the ROI it would provide. So Zach came up with a very novel solution, and he's going to come up here and show that solution to us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Zach, you can show your kick-ass idea.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Before I do that, yeah. So this will go live tomorrow. We said noon Eastern. Last night, Nick and I were like, how do we get everyone who has an allocation? Because there are certain people who aren't allowed in our channels due to certain actions, but we still love you, and we want to make sure that if you want to swap out, you can swap out. So we're like, how do we have this communication happen in an organized manner, where it's not just a crazy group chat where people are like saying this, and this. So what I came up with is we're opening a brand new server just for this use case only. It's a completely read-only, except for private threads, where you'll be able to negotiate with a buyer if you're a seller, and vice versa. And it's 99% there. I just have to have a couple permissions things done. We got to QA it a little bit, and it'll be ready for you tomorrow. But I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm going to make some like step-by-step instructions, what each channel is there for, how the whole process works. So if you jump into the server and you don't see this walkthrough, you'll be able to say, click OK, and then you'll see my voice, and I will direct you and what everything is. So I'm going to bring it up on screen. I'm going to walk you through it, how it all works. And yeah, so let's do that. So the first thing you're going to do, and hello, Surrender to Madness. I knew you were going to do this. So you're going to see a screen like this, and this kind of breaks down how it all works, like for the sellers, for the buyers, closing the deals, and the transaction completion. I'm not going to go super crazy into this because the copy might change a little bit, and there, like I said, there's going to be a video. But before you can see any of the other channels, you will have to read this, hit understand, and you'll be given a role. And so for the people who want to list, for sellers, there's your instructions. And so what you have to do is you want to click this button.
Hey, Zach, can you command plus or whatever and zoom in a bit so the text is more legible? Because
let's see if I can on. Oh, I can. Today I learned. Cool. I didn't know you could do that with Discord. Sweet. So yeah, for sellers, you would submit your details. And so what you have to do is you have to click this button right here. And so we have the database is all the Genesis wallets. So if you have to have the exact wallet address, or it'll kick it back. And it'll say, nope, you are not on this list. Please try again. So I'll just use, I got to go get one. Hold on one second. All right, 1 second. Okay, you got to put one in. And then it doesn't matter if you do, this or if I can type this or this, but it has to be numbers or this won't work, and it'll kick you back. So say you want to sell it for 46 cents a token, you hit submit. This part takes us a little second, but So what will happen is it's reading all this stuff, and boom. So you've successfully listed your allocation for sale. Here's your token listing, whatever. So now you go here. So now here's your token listing, your price per token, how many tokens you hold in that wallet, and so your listing price. So now if you are a buyer, and this is where buyers come in. So I got to do something real quick. Take this off, because if you are a seller, by the way, you are not able to buy. If you're exiting our community, you don't get to try to play arbitrage. So either you're a seller or you're a buyer. So if you are looking to buy someone's bag, you would just say, make an offer. This will go through. A private thread will happen, and it'll give you the instructions about how this will happen. This is what the person is wanting. And so you guys can deliberate. And so when a buyer wants to submit an official offer, you would click this button right here. And you say, you want 46. I'm going to offer you 42. Right? And so then now it'll say to the now seller that this is the buyer offers this, and he can either, or she can, decline or accept. And let's say in this example, you accept. And then the last step in this journey is confirming what wallet you are going to be transacting this transaction from. So when we go to close all these deals, and like Nick said with the process before, we will be using this wallet in the Genesis allocation wallet. Nick, correct me if I am wrong by saying this. This can be any wallet.
Yeah, the buyer wallet can be any wallet,
any EVM compatible wallet.
Yeah.
And so you would just put that in there, and then as soon as it is submitted, the listing will get deleted, and there'll be no more offers on that. So as a seller, we're not gonna play around with like, all right, I sold it for 45 cents, but then someone just offered me 50 cents. Once you said you accept an offer, that offer is accepted. And then when this time frame is over, we will do the next steps, which will be the sending of funds and confirming of both parties and making the swap happen. So I put this together in about the last 10 hours. I was up to about 4 in the morning. I'm pretty proud of it. If I'm tooting my own horn that I could do this.
It's pretty amazing, and I can add some color to the last part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. So what you've seen here is the deal making. All right. So this is about not the transaction. This is not about completing and consummating the transaction. It is about essentially making the deal. Once that's done, you essentially, as the buyer, get a wallet address, and you send the funds to. That wallet address is an escrow address. Now, back to the Vitruveo Swapper dApp, the same functionality that we are using in order to help you transfer your funds from one wallet to the other now kicks in. The basic process of the Swapper app is you, as the owner of a wallet, say, here is the transfer wallet where I want to send. And that initiates what's called the claim process. What someone has to do then is the person who owns the target wallet has to go sign in, and they have to hit claim. This makes everything happen on chain through a smart contract. And so we will look for that transaction. And when that transaction is complete, when the seller has transferred to the buyer and the buyer has claimed, we will see that on chain, and we will transfer the funds to the seller. If that transaction does not happen, or for whatever reason needs to be canceled, the buyer can reach out to us, and we'll just send them back their funds, 100% of their funds, and the deal is canceled. So the fundamental security of this is all with a smart contract. And what Zach showed you is the deal making process, the going back and forth, etc., negotiation, etc. So that's what it is.
So to also clarify, because I didn't say this, we are not I know originally we asked if people were interested in buying and selling of validator nodes. At this time, we are not doing that. We're just doing token allocation. So if your wallet is associated with a validator node, we will not be doing that swap. And then since we originally were going to do today, but unfortunately this took a little bit longer than I thought it would. We wanted to do what, a 48-hour window of listing and a 48-hour of transactions. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah. Basically, what we want to do is give people enough time to be able to do their negotiations and do their listing, etc., and then enough time to complete the deal. So I think 2 days, after prior announcement, like we know we're going to start at noon tomorrow Eastern. So for 48 hours, we can do all the postings, etc., and then for 48 hours after that, complete the deals. As I understand it, there's not that many of them, right? There's a couple hundred, maybe.
There's a couple hundred, yes. So, I mean, I would definitely bear on the side of flexibility, because I understand that some people might need to move some funds around in order to buy and sell. But if you are negotiating and you have an accepted deal within that time frame, we would love to get it done, because this is what's holding up sending out Nexus NFTs. Is we got to do this first.
Yeah.
And we listened to our community. They wanted to have this happen. So we want to get it done, but we also don't want to delay that any further than we have to.
Yeah. So anyone who needs more time or whatever can just let us know. But
we'll feel it out. We'll feel it out. We may extend it, because I see Cappy in there saying that it's a weekend, and he is correct. It is a weekend, and we definitely want to have things, but if people are way off on price and there's not a lot of negotiation going on, we'll close it quick. But if it's a lot of wheeling and dealing are happening, maybe we'll extend it a little bit, but it can't be too long, because it's going to delay what we've already promised. And so
so there's a question there about opportunities for selling validator nodes. So it is much simpler for us to get the validator node transaction done after you have your validator NFT, because then it's just a matter of selling that NFT, and transfer it. So we don't need to be involved in that situation. Whereas in this situation, it's a bit more complicated with the tokens, etc. So that's why this OTC solution is needed. But I will leave it to the validator team to decide what the mechanics are and the rules are for doing that. But once the validator nodes are assigned, the NFTs are assigned and dropped into people's wallets, then they can basically do a straight up transfer of them and make it happen. So we'll come. I don't know how many of those are target there. I think it's an even smaller number. And one of the things that we have to be mindful about is using engineering resources for something that might only be for a handful of people. So we should not do that. We should be more prudent and find other ways. And that's why this Discord solution is a great solution, where we don't have to sit and build a whole complete dApp. But the swapper dApp is needed, because there's a lot of people who need to swap and merge their wallets. But in terms of OTC, we don't have a good feel for how many people want to do it. We feel it's like a couple hundred, but I don't know. Could be.
So Chris actually just asked a really nice question. Is there a security lever preventing listing from other people's wallets? That was my first issue. So yes, there is. And Nick, I'd love for you to explain it, because you did it at the protocol level. So I can bring up the question.
Yeah, I mean, is there a security layer preventing listing someone else's wallets? I understand the final process needs smart contract wallet signing, but what prevents someone from bogging down Discord with spamming? I don't think you're going to be able to bog down Discord. I mean, it's pretty performant with thousands and thousands of users at the same time, which we don't have that scenario here. So I think the bot that Zach Scott can handle that just fine. And in terms of the actual transaction, that's fully secure. That is signing with your wallet and doing a smart contract transaction. So there is no scalability issue there also. So
it will validate both the seller and buyer are the rightful people, and not, because that was like my thought is like, what if someone wanted to come in and hurt us by listing someone else's wallet for pennies on the dial, and Nick's like, no. It has to be this way. So there's no way that could happen, and we're monitoring, that kind of stuff too. So if there is a user that comes in and starts listing a bunch of wallets, obviously they're not they're probably not the owners of those wallets, and we'll mitigate that as that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just pull up the screen here real quick.
Yeah, I'll take my
And
note.
share. It's work in progress, but I'm still kind of testing it. But in the swapper app, you have to connect first, and it detects what your bag is based upon the connected wallet, and then you put in the wallet you want to transfer to, and it will validate that it has to be a valid address, and it can't be your own address. This, I just pasted in my own address here. So once you paste a valid address, then you can begin transfer. And then what happens is that when this user connects in the same app, they will see that there is now a bag waiting for them to claim. And if they claim it, then the transaction is complete. Until then, it's not. So there's belt and suspenders and cryptographic security, your basic cryptographic security that's there to make sure that you cannot do something you're not supposed to do.
And
Right?
Chris, with like bots and large bets, but there is no place for people to talk and spam and chat. And if someone is repeatedly hitting the button to do lists, and there's already a token for that list, it will kick them back and send me a warning. And so if there is a malicious actor going on, I can easily boot them. It's not that big of a deal. I have things in place. I had to think about that because we have a certain subset of people who might want to try us. So,
yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Zach. We'll move on now to the next part of our update, which is a fundraising update. So congratulations to the community. Well done. We have crossed the $600,000 mark as of yesterday. It's a great milestone. We have still a ways to go, and I'm very, very confident. In fact, as each day passes, I get more confident that we will make our goals. But this is really great, a great result so far. All right. So continuing the conversation on the fundraising update, the initial, I have had contacts with 15 VCs, pitches, etc. So we are the general approach to fundraising is you don't do like a whole bunch of them right away. You do a few, get some feedback so you can tweak your deal. You can optimize things, etc. So based on the feedback you get. And so far, so we have 4 VCs essentially pursuing things further down the road, meaning, kind of doing due diligence and stuff like that. So actually, you might think that that's, not a very high number, but for VC pitches, etc., that's a pretty decent size interest threshold. Our goal now that we are in December is to do multiple investor pitches daily, and we just keep doing them. It's a numbers game, folks. As I've told you before, you keep pitching, you keep refining as you go, and get through it. Now, we have an investor event planned in Dubai for the week of December 18th. I'm pleased to report that the planning on that is going really, really well. So we now have a venue selection in process. We've narrowed it down to 2 venues. And we are targeting approximately 150 invitees. These would be angel investors, family offices, VCs, and hedge funds and things like that. Also, the idea here is to pitch to all of them at once and get deals going. And since I'll be there, I can immediately do follow-up meetings for the next few days, meet with people in person, and close deals. Typically, what happens when you have an event like this is you increase the ability for syndications. So people get together and syndicate and do that. So so this event is in progress. I see someone already asking about the cost. I have no idea yet because the event has not even started. So I will let you know the cost once it's done. All right. Now, I want to talk to you about the feedback I've been getting from investors so far. This is important. If you listen, you can optimize your deal to make sure that you can close on funding quickly. So the first item of feedback is that they're extremely positive about the creator business model, the differentiation we bring from other protocols and other marketplaces, etc., and our go-to-market strategy. So we have a multi-channel distribution strategy, and that has been seen extremely positively. So now, the two areas of concern are, first and foremost, the fact that based upon the tokenomics and the modeling, there is going to be significant sell pressure of approximately 2 million, probably more accurately 2.4 million coins starting month 7 and about every month thereafter. So the investors are rightfully very concerned about that, because they don't want all the hard work of 6 months to essentially be washed out because of massive sell pressure from people whose sort of vesting periods close out, and they have vested tokens to sell. The other item that is a significant, I would almost say it's a reasonable showstopper at the moment, is the 40% cap table allocation for OG holders. As you know, this is a very unique deal in that, there's been a rug pull and all that, and we've tried to resurrect it to go from what is essentially zero to tremendous value. So we've done all the work in the business plan, in building the community, in getting things moving here, and having a vision, product, etc. But at the end of the day, we have to still make sure that we can conform to sort of what is the common narrative, for a cap table in deals like this that investors are looking at. Because sophisticated investors, institutional investors, they see deals every single day, and there's a pattern they follow. And when something's out of that pattern, they want to understand why that is and how it can impact them, and what the long-term impact of that's going to be on them. So right now, the two areas of concerns are the sell pressure and the significant 40% cap table allocation for the OG holders. So no action on that at the moment. But as of today, we have a lot of people who are now looking at the deal that are well versed with tokenomics and well versed, for example, with exchange listings. So we've been talking to exchanges. We've also talked to people who have actually done the marketing on deals like this and essentially got the fundraising done. So the feedback is very consistent across the board. That is a great plan. It is a very viable plan, and there's a huge chance of success. But we need to tweak a few things in our model in order for investors to be fully committed to something like this. And those are the two areas of concern there, which is the sell pressure, which we have to mitigate, and also the 40% cap table allocation, which we also have to mitigate. So as I discuss with people and we come up with ideas around that, I'll obviously share with the community, and we'll get your feedback and see where it goes. But right now, overall, it's very positive. The investors I talked to, and as we're talking about deals and pricing and things like that, those two areas of concern are there. All right. Then the next item, what I want to do today is do it a little differently. I'll definitely take the community questions, but what I want to do is preemptively answer a lot of questions that I see all the time. And although these questions are answered, they might be answered in a way where people don't have the time to go research or look. And so I thought, why not take this opportunity to actually answer these questions head on, directly, and clear up any kind of miscommunications or assumptions people might have made. So the first question I see is, why will creators use the Vitruveo blockchain? So the simple answer to that is, we have analyzed and studied and talked to artists a lot, and looked at all the things that are problematic in the NFT art space. So one of the biggest problems is, today an artist is essentially forced to not only create the artwork, but also market, sell, and promote it on social media. And no artist I know wants to do that. They would rather be creating artwork. So that is the biggest problem we are addressing. The second problem that we are addressing for creators is actually helping them get discovered. So being noticed, people don't see me, no one sees me. That's sort of a common refrain you hear from creators. But we have created an opportunity for multiple distribution channels, making it super highly probable for creators to be discovered, and we've addressed that issue also. And the last reason why creators will use Vitruveo blockchain, in particular the traditional artists, is our current blockchain NFT art mechanisms, they completely lack and are devoid of trust. We have included that element of trust by those four pillars I talked about earlier: the creator KYC, the signing of media files, license creation conforming to standards. So one of those alone would be enough, but in totality, all of them together create trust. And then you add to it our goal to have a very usable blockchain, where we make it super simple for people in Web2 who only have a credit card and who don't have a crypto wallet to be able to participate as buyers in this. And it really, really changes the game significantly. So for creators will use Vitruveo blockchain because it helps them make money. That's the simple answer to it. All right. So next question I see often is, what is the utility of Vitru? So this question stems from the fact that there are so few protocols that are really successful, that whenever people see a cryptocurrency, they assume it's a token, and a token has to have some utility tied to it. The native crypto coin, the native cryptocurrency of a blockchain has built-in utility. Without that coin, you cannot do any transaction on the blockchain. So Vitru is the native cryptocurrency of the Vitruveo blockchain. It is used to pay for every transaction, which is known as gas. Now, it's a very small amount of gas, but you still need gas in order to pay. That's one thing. Second, all transactions, all sales transactions on Vitruveo use Vitru. So even if someone buys an artwork with their credit card, what happens is, behind the scenes, our treasury takes that fiat currency and essentially pays the artist in Vitru. So we don't do an exchange or anything like that. We are not a crypto exchange. We don't do swaps, things like that. What we do is we essentially make sure the artist is paid in Vitru and from our treasury. So utility of Vitru is built in. Everything that's done on the platform is through Vitru. All right, next question. When was Vitruveo mainnet launched? So I see this question actually stated differently. Most people say, when will Vitruveo mainnet launch? They are unaware of the fact that we have launched since October 24th. Mainnet is active, and we currently have the moniker RC1, Release Candidate 1, applied to it. We will go through two more, Release Candidate 2 and Release Candidate 3. But that doesn't mean mainnet is changing. The data store, which is what the blockchain consists of, the actual blockchain, right, is done. It is live and active, and it is mainnet. What we will change and tweak as we go through these release candidates is the software. That's the Go Ethereum software. So we'll enhance it. Maybe we find that, we can tweak the performance a bit, etc. We'll do that. That doesn't change the blockchain. So when someone says mainnet, they are referring to the blockchain, and that is not changing. It is already launched. It is already live, and we are already transacting on it. So the first transactions we are doing on it are our booster sales. So those are being committed on the blockchain itself. You can go to explorer.vitruveo.xyz and see the transactions that are there, the smart contracts that are there right now. And we are doing performance testing mostly on testnet, but we are doing a little bit of it on mainnet also to understand what the performance characteristics are required for validator nodes at a later time. But Vitruveo mainnet is live, and there is no ambiguity about it. The release candidate 1 refers to the software. not the blockchain. All right. This is a question I see all the time. When will I get my coins? So I think a better question for people to also ask is, if when I get my coins, what will I do with them? So this is important, right? Like, just having the coins is not very useful. You need to know what you're going to do with the coins. So our goal is to airdrop a Nexus NFT into your wallets. Our target date was on or about now, and we are close to that right now. We want to finish this swapper thing and then drop those NFTs into your wallets. When we do that, any vested coins you have will immediately be in your wallet and freely tradable once you claim them. So you can claim them from your vested stash, and they are available then, and you can move them around, etc. Now, what are some of the things you can do with them? Well, initially, you can trade them. You can move them back and forth. You can use them to install smart contracts. If you're a developer or or a company, you can use them to transact in a smart contract. So if someone else has a smart contract, you can transact in it. But obviously, we all know that the main utility that everyone is waiting for is a centralized exchange. So what I'm trying to get at is, it's pointless to ask this question. The better question to ask is, when are we going to get to the centralized exchange? And an even better question to ask is, what drives our listing date on the centralized exchange? So let me answer that for you. Basically, we need to get operating capital and we need to get liquidity capital. This is it. So we have that, and we can proceed with having the centralized exchange, etc. So if someone decides today to write a check for $5 million or even $3 million, which is our soft goal, and 5 million is our stretch goal, then we can execute on these things right away. But until we have these funds, it's pointless for us to list on an exchange, etc., because we don't have enough capital for liquidity, and we certainly don't have enough capital for operations. So we'll get to the use of capital there in a moment. But basically, when you get your coins is when the Nexus NFT is dropped. But more important is how you can use those coins. And as I just explained, that is determined by the centralized exchange listing, which depends on our capital raise. All right, so that gets us to a booster. So what is the primary benefit of a booster? Now, a booster is an NFT that you can go and purchase on booster.vitruveo.xyz. And the purpose of it is to raise capital so that we can move this project forward. Without capital, we cannot do anything in this project. So the primary benefit of a booster to the business, to the protocol, is that it provides funding in order for the project to succeed. But the primary benefit for the buyer is not what you may think. A lot of people think it's the tokens or it's the perks. It's not. The primary benefit of the booster is the rev share. As you may have observed on other exchanges, whether it's OpenSea, other marketplaces, OpenSea, Blur, Foundation, etc., you can see that at their peak, the sales of artworks get into the billions of dollars. So as a protocol focused entirely on creators and on art, we are essentially set up to have every transaction of every marketplace on this protocol go through the protocol and get us a 2% rev share. So that 2% rev share, a portion of that is allocated to boosters, and a significant portion, I might add. So the simple fact is that a booster is designed to give you lifetime, forever income, because the art sales on this protocol are just going to keep on increasing. We are starting with visual arts, but we are going to go on to music, and then movies, and then books. So every sale on this protocol yields a 2% fee. Now, that's not all. In the world of visual arts in particular, there are secondary sales. Many people buy the artwork in order to flip it for a higher price. which means that there will be an additional 2% fee on every secondary sale. So the number of sales that an artwork go through is not one, it could be multiple. And every one of those yields a 2% fee to their treasury, and therefore to the owners of a booster. So the primary benefit of a booster is essentially long-term perpetual income. It's not the acceleration of the vesting, it's not the tokens that you get, it's not the perks you get. Those are all great things. Those are amazing things, very, very good things. But the rev share beats them all. To have essentially a claim to lifetime revenue of a protocol, it's mind-blowing. So this is what you get with the booster. All right. How is the investment capital being used? Now, this is where a lot of people who have a very poor understanding of how startups work are kind of almost upset that we have a team who is paid to do work. Here's the simple fact, guys. If there is not a team that is not being productive, the value of your tokens is effectively going to be zero, because just a protocol out there with coins doesn't do it anymore. There are hundreds of those. There has to be some value being generated, and that value does not get created unless skilled people, are working to create that value. So the investment capital here is being used on two fronts. One is for the DAO team and its members that are producing the things we've talked about today, the studio software, the marketing associated with it, the fundraising, all of that. Everything that is there to generate value has a cost associated with it. You have to pay an expert professional to do it. So that's one part. And the second part is liquidity. So in order for us to list these tokens, and there's two of them. There's Vitru, which is the native cryptocurrency, and then Vitro, which is the DEX currency. We have to provide liquidity for both of them at a point that makes sense based upon the calculations and the numerical models. So the investment capital has those two purposes. One, to give the team runway to build out this protocol and to realize the vision. There's a very big vision here to be the most dominant protocol that exists on the planet for creators. So we have to build and execute on that vision. So that's what part of the operating capital is for, and the other part is liquidity. All right, what will determine the price of Vitru? So in general, the price of any cryptocurrency is determined by several factors. One, and the most important one, is what does that coin represent? Like, what is the value that is being created by whoever published that cryptocurrency? In this case, it's the Vitruveo protocol. So it follows that the price of Vitru is going to be driven largely by traction. What kind of traction do we see in this protocol? How many artists are coming on board? What is the software we are creating? How many galleries and museums are coming on board? How are the partnerships playing out? All of those things together are traction. Now, there is another world where there are people, who use market making and other ways to inflate the value of a coin. We are focused on generating true value, which is actually doing the hard work and getting the adoption and making Vitruveo very, very useful. So therefore, people value its currency more. So the price of Vitru will be determined by our efforts and our success and our traction. When will Vitru be launched on a SEX? So our threshold is $3 million in investment capital. So we have that, and we are in a safe place. We can now have operating capital for about a year, and we can have enough liquidity for both the coin and the token, the Vitru coin and the Vitro token. So that is when we will launch on the SEX. So we have a tentative goal of doing it in January, but I cannot commit to an exact date, because until we have the capital, there is no point of us listing on the SEX. And I know a lot of people are very excited and anxious to have their coins and list them and sell them immediately. but that is counter to the goal of the protocol. The goal of the protocol is to be successful long term. And yes, we want you to have your coin and to be able to list it, etc. But we can't do that while essentially, just killing off the protocol. We cannot do that. The protocol has to succeed for everyone to succeed. And so we are looking at long-term value creation here. When will validators be onboarded? So right now, we are in the process of testing out mainnet, as I described earlier. We're going to go through mainnet RC1, RC2, and part of what we want to do is do a little bit of stress testing to evaluate exactly, how the node responds when there's a surge of transactions, things like that. Now, the validator nodes we have, which is 2 of them, they are pretty beefy machines, and we don't need those for individual validator nodes, right? We need basically something that can handle the blockchain transactions, but it doesn't have to worry about also being like a public RPC node, which other people hit in order to submit their transactions, etc. We validator nodes don't need to do any of that. In fact, we'd want them to be secured. So once we have a good handle on the performance characteristics that are needed for these machines, we'll publish them. So I expect that to be probably later this month, more likely in early January. But we will try and at least get some draft information out this month. Now, there's another thing that plays into the onboarding. With the deal we've made with our partner Synapse, we are going to get the validators sort of re-KYC'd because we don't have access to the data from the prior KYC. So it's an easy process, and it will cost the validators nothing to do the KYC. So we'll do that. And the second thing is that we also want to try and get credits from Amazon, Google, Microsoft Azure, etc., to sort of reduce the overall cost of validators. So I'm working on that. We already got a $100,000 credit from Amazon, so that helps quite a bit with our infrastructure costs. In fact, it helps us pay off, like we don't have to pay any Amazon bills for a bit, right, for our validators. So we want to get similar discounts and things like that for other validators also, the 500 validators. It's a time-consuming process because the authorization for these credits has to come through a third party, which is typically an incubator or an investor. So it's not as simple as requesting a form, filling out a form and getting it approved. It's not as simple. Someone has to vouch for you. So we're working on that, and we'll keep you apprised of that. So we have a validator team, and my goal is to communicate with them and make sure things stay on track. Our goal was always to start the validator sort of onboarding in December. And now that we are here towards the latter part of this month, we'll like, as I said, at least publish some draft specs, so give general direction, and then January probably finalize that spec. And then we'll work with the validator team to understand and lay out a schedule for how things happen, how things play out there. All right, how can I support the Vitruveo project? Well, there's a number of ways in which you can support the Vitruveo project. The first and foremost is if you have artist friends, to tell them about it. So our Twitter our X, I guess, is a great thing to share with people, so they can get to and see and understand that we are actually creating a blockchain that is dedicated to creators. So that's one way you can support the project. The other way is to essentially come to our Discord and participate in the conversation. We welcome healthy debate there. Healthy conversations about the topics that we are talking about here, and want you to come and do that. And the third way, if you have the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal, you can go to booster.vitruveo.xyz and buy a booster. So this right here, you can buy either a booster or a super booster, which is targeted more towards institutions, but a booster costs you $150. And as I mentioned earlier, it gives you a lifetime revenue share, which is really, really significant in my opinion. As we onboard galleries and museums at scale, that's going to be a significant amount of artwork that comes onto this protocol. All right, So last but not the least, I wanted to share with you something that Riva and her team did today. So Spotify, you've probably seen on social media, is doing this Wrapped thing about the end of year Wrapped Spotify. It tells you about who you listen to and who are the top artists, etc. And since we are kind of going to emulate Spotify a little bit with our Vitru Stream solution, I think it's genius what the team did here, and they put together a little Instagram promo on Wrapped Vitruveo style. So we've got that going. So hopefully you found that on Instagram and can see that and check it out for us. So anyway, those are all the questions I had and I wanted to answer. That's the information to share. At noon Eastern tomorrow, you will see the Swapper app along with the Discord that Zach showed you live. We also have another app that is almost ready. We have to do a little bit more interesting internal testing, and then it's ready to go. And that's the Poet app, the proof of engagement token. So that what we want to do as quickly as possible is start issuing tokens to different sort of cohorts within the ecosystem, and so we'll get that going also. The Vitru team, which is, as I mentioned, based in the Vitru Studio team, which is based in Brazil, is working really fast on the Vitru Studio product. You can, if you are a developer and want to track their progress, it might be a little complicated right now because it's just getting started. But you can go to our GitHub and look at all the Vitru Studio prefixed repositories, and you can see the source code there. It's all open source. It's all available for people to look at. But what I'll do is, as we get to a meaningful point, I may have some of the team members come on here if they are willing to. I don't know if they will be willing to, but we'll do demos of Vitru Studio as it develops, because it's really important for us that that product be very simple to use, even though it hides a lot of complexity. No one in any blockchain has attempted the complexity of Vitru Studio yet, and we are excited to do it. As I mentioned, there's 4 standards we are complying with there, and we are completely radically transforming how art is licensed in NFT for NFTs. So we'll keep you apprised of that progress and show you demos as we go along. So Zach, buddy, it's time to come back. Let's do some questions here. I see a lot of comments. So
people definitely drank their chai this morning. There's lots of comments.
Yeah, I gotta go look at them and see what we got going on.
No, I mean, you covered a lot of the things that are normally asked. Let's see. Someone was talking about the digital art market, and I put in just to give a little context. I messaged that and gave a study that looked at the market demographic. Yes, it's a little old, but and it does talk a little bit about NFTs, but it talked about the digital art market and how big it was. And at the time of that article, the NFT market, which was in 2022, which it was like kind of the boom of it. And like that article talks a lot about like Bored Ape and all that stuff. It was only 17% of the digital art market. So, and it was like $2.2 billion, and it was estimated to grow at a CAGR of 17.1% or something like that. So yeah, I mean, the market's there. Like, so for the people who are like, who buys digital art? A lot of people buy digital art.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there. Let's see. Let me look here. I really like the tidbit you gave with the clarity of like what's going on in the investor meetings. And from my end too, working my connections, and I know we talked about Studio and with what we got going on with the storefront, and the people that we're talking to about that. They're super excited to get started on what we're doing, and like I can echo all the sentiment that you kind of put forth. Is that this idea is pretty different. No one is doing this, and everyone I talk to in this space is very like, that's pretty cool. So like, it makes me more confident that all this hard work that I'm putting in is not just to be working for another layer one protocol, is that we actually are trying to make radical change in a sector of what we all become a love of, which is crypto and Web3. So the vision is there. I mean, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of questions that you didn't answer. I mean, I don't know if you went through that. You know, Shadow X says, I want to ask, when will WenHub be a partner? And I just did a Google search on when WenHub is.
And that was my prior startup. We folded a long time ago. That's
okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. I didn't see much of a thing, but yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we wrapped it up pretty well. I mean, there's not a lot of questions in the Discord too. You know, so I did forget to this morning see my questions further up pertaining to investors' concerns. Let's see what you said. Where is it? You said a lot of things. There's a search function. I'm not, Cappy, I'm not seeing it. If you want to resend it to me or send it, I would happily ask it. Yeah, but what I was saying is I forgot to do my Friday morning. If you have questions in the questions thing, you know, ask them here. So that's my mistake. I slept in a little bit today because I was up so late. But
no worries.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do ahead of us. You know, one of the most interesting challenges is the context shifts that you have to do continually. Like for me in particular, at one moment I'm doing an artist space and talking about art and all that, and then going to code, and then talking about tokenomics, and then doing a pitch to a VC, etc. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you wear a lot of hats. I mean, that's kind of what a project lead does, and yeah, for sure. And I don't know how many hours of sleep you get a night, but I know it's not enough.
I am obsessed with the success of this project. I feel, honestly, you know, sometimes you get to a point in your life where you feel like this is sort of what you have worked for, or you prepared all your life for. And I feel very strongly that Vitruveo is something I've prepared for all my life, because it combines everything: my love for code and technology, entrepreneurship and startup and art. You know, it's the confluence of that, and also my extreme desire to make the world a better place. You know, I want everything I do to be meaningful in that regard. So yeah,
I can agree with that sentiment too. All my stops and consulting in this space is all giving me a little bit of insight to now what my role is kind of morphed into. I'm kind of an amoeba within this organization doing a whole bunch of things, but like that's, you know, like that's what I do for teams. And, you know, and for the people who don't, you know, they see Nick as an art collector on Twitter. This dude's super technical. He's super technical. And I want to echo the Brazilian team. Like, they are very detail oriented. They're quick. They are so excited. Like, the palpability in those calls of just them being like, like they're chomping at the bit, and they're not, they're not scrubs. Like they are very successful in what they've done in their business, and they're so excited to contribute. And just like your chipper, always optimistic attitude that I don't know how it is that is like that, they're like that. And so it's like a really good fit. Neilio, especially, he's just like always just so happy and has a smile on his face. And
my optimism is easy. I feed off the energy of our community. There are so many people who are very, very positive about the success of this, and there are thousands of artists out there whose lives have been transformed and are very excited about what we are doing. So I feed off that energy. I mean, there's a lot of very, very positive sentiment about what we are doing. And also, let's not forget that this is a sort of a phoenix story. Like, this story will be written someday, and it will be pretty amazing because it is essentially come from the ashes, to rise to
The
create
Phoenix.
something out of nothing here. So people tend to forget that as in July, their coins were worth zero. Now there's a potential for them to be worth significantly more. So we'll see. We are working hard to make that happen. It Good things take time, especially high quality good things
Oh
take
yeah,
time. You know,
definitely.
so we're gonna execute on this, and we're gonna kick ass. And uh, I uh, I am very confident. I see, sometimes, I believe to very much in the power of visualization, and I see where this is going to be in 3 5 years. I can visualize that in my head, and it's going to be very successful.
I think so as well. So Cappy did get his question up to us, and he said, with the 40% OG holder concern be offset would be offset by a larger investment, and what is a more comfortable percentage for them? I think, and Nick, obviously you can answer that, but I would think that has been not determined. It was just literally insight and feedback from what we've been hearing inside the rooms.
Yeah, in the cap table, people have in a standard deal numbers for each group, like ecosystem, team, investors, etc. Right? And so ours, being a sort of unique deal, has that number up there that is kind of different. And so um, we just have to figure out how we can address it. So here's the thing: having done lots and lots of pitches, the main thing about it is about fundraising. It's very much like sales. What is sales? It's overcoming objections, right? At the end of the day. So that's it. So we have to overcome objections to the point where people are satisfied and like, okay, now the deal is fits my worldview of what a good deal is. And so then we can proceed with the next step, is looking at, does it make financial sense? Then, and so you check that box. It's checking a box off at each level. The first box is, do we want to even talk to you? Like, taking a meeting with a VC, getting that pitch is itself an achievement, because
Oh,
they
it
don't take,
is.
yeah. So each step of the way, you check a box, and eventually you get to the end where the box that's checked is you got funding.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who has done some fundraising, not to the degrees you have, and definitely when I was a rookie at it, it was really hard. It was very discouraging to, you know, have this like mull around and having a hitting objections when you think you're amazing at it, and like this is going to change the world, and all of that stuff, and then like someone asks a question and they're like, I'm not interested. That's disheartening to me. So I'm glad you're doing it. And I've obviously been in a lot of pitches with you. You're an amazing pitcher. It's kind of
Oh, thank
amazing.
you. I
We should get
appreciate
you
that.
we should get you in some pitch contests with like consensus, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be
That
fun.
that would be fun. I think we would kill it at that. And yeah, it's feedback's been great. It's just coming to, and like you said, it's that window, and it's the holiday season. It's kind of hard. People have all the different holidays. It's hard
We'll
to.
work through it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine. We'll work through it. I see a couple of interesting questions here, so let's take those and then wrap up here.
Let's do it.
So Fabulous has Nick. My question is, if the booster benefits are from the coins allocation that I hold, or just the number of boosters. So the benefits, like related to rev share, for example, on the boosters, are proportionate to your Vitru coins that come with your boosters. So, for example, let's just say you have uh, 5 boosters, right? So that's 500 Vitrus. Now you divide that by the total number of Vitrus represented by all the boosters sold, and that's your pro rata percentage share of rev share, the pool or perks or whatever. So it's relative to all the booster tokens, all the booster Vitrus, uh, and yours, how many you hold. So it is not related to your coin allocation. That's completely separate. Okay. So then the question here, is the team willing to modify the parameters of their holdings to accommodate investor concerns? Yeah. So the team, I'm not sure, Cappy, if you're which team you're referring to, but in the cap table, the area of concern is the 40%, the first one at the top. So that's basically all the people who sacrificed. That pool is the that number is the area of concern. So we'll work through that.
The team has zero allocation as of right now, correct?
The team has zero. Like
we have no allocation.
Yeah, there's a line in the cap table for it, but it hasn't been allocated to anybody yet, and that's very small. That is a minuscule amount compared to the larger thing. So yeah. So all right, those are.
So what about the marketing right here? What about marketing
to a large crowd of yeah, so that is actually ongoing right now. So we have started that initiative with some influencers and things like that, but they also have a little bit of lead time because they prepare the content, etc. They schedule on their shows, things like that. So that is happening as we speak in parallel, and you'll see that ramp up. We decided that because we are sort of capital constrained, we didn't want to just throw out a bunch of money at a bunch of different people. We are doing sort of a little bit of A/B testing and saying, okay, let's try you out for 2 weeks, see what results we get, measure, and then increase or decrease if the results are not there. So we're definitely seeing there are sales coming in from outside the community, etc. So it's working gradually. But again, retail investors is it's going to be a hard sell to get 5 million from only retail investors. So we'll continue to do that, but it's going to be institutional investors that will close the gap.
Yeah, and to give a little context to that, I mean, it's I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to sell it or tell anyone to invest if they don't want to, but like the whole point of, like, Solana, which is such a hot name right now, like the reason why that was so successful popularity early was because VCs invested a lot of money at a very low token price to what the actual launch price was with a vesting period. And that's exactly what we're proposing here. It's a little different verbiage, but at the end of the day, it's same but different. And that message is hard to get across sometimes, and without blurring some lines. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the opportunity,
Yeah. So CryptoDel, the answer is yes, because currently the number is 260. So 260 early birds are there. So there's plenty of room left to have more early birds pop in there. So that's 1,000 minus 260. That's how many are left. So yeah, you can still get a bonus.
Yes, Solana did market tremendously, but that's what we will be doing as soon as we get our running.
Yep. All right. I think that's a wrap. Then we can lots of work to do, but also
same time next week.
Happy to be here and answer these questions. It is a highlight of my week for sure. To come out here, and we used to do this with the YouTubers, and I kind of miss that occasionally. So I like to pop into their YouTube streams with Chris and others occasionally, and connect with those communities also. But I will probably do art reviews tonight on my Twitter stream. So you can join them. If Fur is up for it, she will join. But if not, I will definitely do it. But thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. There's a lot of amazing things happening. There's a few things that we are behind on, etc. But that's part for the course for any startup. We can't be absolutely perfect, but we can't let perfect be the enemy of good. We're going to keep on moving forward and doing everything we can as best as we can with the resources we have. We will exceed your expectations sometimes. We will underdeliver sometimes. But on the whole, our goal is to keep on moving and essentially getting us on the trajectory for success. So have a great weekend, Zach. Have a great weekend, everybody. And thank you. Thank you.
What's a weekend, Nick? I said, what's a weekend? Isn't that like,
yeah, exactly.
Don't work. All right. Well, you too, Nick. I'll talk to you tomorrow for sure, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the meantime. If anyone has any questions, the questions thread is available, and we will be making that announcement about Swapper tomorrow at noon Eastern and how all that happens. And I'll have some goodie videos for you guys to watch and be able to do your thing. So, all right, Nick, I'm out.
All right. See you. I'm out. Bye.